Hey everyone. Well, today I'm checking out the GnarlyFPV Sub Atomic, and I don't know if you can tell, but this is a very tiny little freestyle frame. And a big thank you to GnarlyFPV for sending me both the frame kit and also the little JHEMCU 16x16 all-in-one that the frame is kind of designed around, although you could probably fit some other 16x16 stacks in there. Very tiny little frame. This is 76 millimeters, motor to motor this way, and I think the bottom plate is 2 millimeters, so actually quite strong, and especially for the size and weight. And you can see there's quite a robust little aluminum camera mount as well. Provides plenty of camera protection. And in this case I'm using a Runcam Nano 4, and I don't think you'd be able to fit too many other cameras in there. Maybe you could fit a Caddx Ant, would be another option, but they recommend the Nano 4, so that's what I'm using, and it fits perfectly. And if we come around to the back, there's just a little TPU rear standoff there. It has a couple of antenna mounts. I'm using this one. I think you could put a 2.4 gig antenna through there, but I'm using it to hold one side of the battery connector, keep it out of the props. That seems to work alright. And then a quick look at the little bottom plate here. So the unit body, kind of a dead cat, little dead cat. The kit is very complete. It includes these little 3D printed arm skids and also even the motor screws. Although to use the motor screws, you do need to use these skids, or otherwise the screws are going to be a little bit too long. But it includes screws for this 6.6 millimeter triangular mounting, but also screws for the 9 millimeter larger size mounting if you want to use those size motors. These silver screws are mine, and I'll talk about why I'm using those when I come to the components, but that's the 16x16 mounting there. And here at the bottom, or at the front, you can see there's the Nano 4, so yeah, very little room up front there for the camera, and this little thing behind it is a little NewBee drone Beeceiver, but again, I'll talk about that stuff when I get to the components. One thing it doesn't include, though, at the moment is a Velcro strap. This is my own strap. Gnarly says they will be trying to include one in the future once they get a good source of them, so for the moment you will have to supply either some kind of strap, or maybe you could put a heavy rubber band around the top plate to hold the battery. So you will have to figure that out, but let me remove that. And so this is get a little better look at the battery pad, which is also included, and the top plate. Oh, I forgot to mention the kit also includes 3D printed parts, so like if you wanted to run a little mini Mortal T antenna on the front, you could do so with this. So that would be for like this style crossfire antenna. I think you'd struggle to use that mount with this style. You'd have to modify it, I think, cut some slots to use this style, but you might be able to. And then that also includes a really nice Insta360 Go mount. And I wish I had one of these cameras at the moment to test, but it does come with this quite nicely designed mount and extra screws to mount it up there. I think it'll be a little bit heavy, but you could definitely do it, and might be fun to try out. So let's see, in terms of the just the frame by itself, the frame by itself weighs about 11 grams, and once you add the stack screws and also the 3D printed parts for the motors, the frame weight goes up to about 15 grams. And then like this, before the battery, dry weight is about 45 grams. And then if you add a 20 gram battery, which I think is about the right weight, like a 2S300, or I think 350 is ideal. Because with this 300 I was getting about 2.5 minutes of flight time. Before I take the top plate off and get a look at the components as I'm running them, I thought an interesting comparison might be between this and like something like a Nano Hawk, which is kind of similar in overall size. But the Nano Hawk weighs about 20 grams, whereas this weighs about 45 grams, so about twice as much. But then if you look at the difference in motor size, it's pretty vast between the two. And this uses like 2S300 versus a 1S300, so some things are doubled, weight, power. I think this has 19,000 kV motors versus 13,500 on this one. So let me take off the top plate and show you how I have the components laid out here and what I've chosen to run. So I went with this, you'll see when I take the top plate off, I went with this little HGLRC Zeus, the little 16x16. Or actually it has a bunch of different mounting size options, and you just break off the tabs to fit the size that you want. And so here's the little Zeus VTX 16x16 size. And this is why you can see I'm using my own little longer mounting screws here for the stack, so I could go up through the flight controller and then up into the little VTX here. So, but when you do it like that, it's actually quite neat. And there's still room to run the Velcro strap above this and in between the top plate. And so here you can see how I have the battery lead coming out of the flight controller, just like that. Let me get a little pointer. So this on the side here is where the receiver is connected, just S-bus. And like I said, it's a little NewBee drone Beeceiver. It's a tiny little thing, and that's what these little antennae are. I mean, these are pretty delicate, these little whiskers, but they're also really small and are pretty much out of the way. And since I didn't have much room on top of the VTX, I had to put the receiver somewhere else, so it actually fit pretty well behind the little Runcam Nano there. But probably don't get great range with this, but I didn't have any fail-safes or low RSSI in the short range that I was flying, so that's fine for me. So yeah, I guess nothing left now. Let me show you some of the flight footage that I captured today test flying this. It was really cool. The only thing was the flight time was a little bit short with this 2S300, and unfortunately the batteries I really wanted to use, which were some high voltage 350 2Ss, didn't arrive in time for the test, and it's now become too windy, I think, for the rest of the weekend to do any more testing. So it's a little bit short with this, and I got some low voltage warnings pretty early on. So I think a 350 high voltage 2S would be the ideal battery, something around the 22 gram range. And then also you're going to see DVR from the Eachine EB300O. I'm trying these out, and I might do a separate video on these later. Pretty happy with these so far. The OLEDs are really great looking, and the DVR, I think, on this is really looking nice. Oh, and also one more thing. There was some video noise with this under power. I don't know if I'll be able to get rid of that, so you'll see that in the DVR footage. Some noise when I give it to power, but otherwise, pretty happy with this setup. Let me show you some flight footage from this little GnarlyFPV Sub Atomic, and thanks again to them for sending me this frame.